Hey everyone, and welcome to our release kickoff for 15.10. My name is David DeSanto, and I lead product here at GitLab. I'll be your host today on today's live stream. I'm joined today by some of the awesome members of our awesome product membership team, which I just said they're awesome twice. It tells you how awesome they actually are. They are in the order they'll be presenting. Jackie Porter, Director of Product, will provide updates for our Ops section. Rico Lewinsky, Director of Product, will be providing us updates for our Dev section. Hillary Benson, Senior Director of Product, for our Sec section, will be providing our Sec section updates. Tara McCaslin, Group Product Manager, will be providing our Data Science updates. And then Josh will bring us home last with updates for Enablement section. He's also the Director of Product, since I didn't say his title. We'll be focusing on driving and delivering value iteratively with a focus on our FY24 product investment themes. They are build a world-class DevSec Ops experience. This includes leading with the first-class usability, improved collaboration, and things like AI-assisted workflows. Provide advanced security and compliance by adding depth to our ultimate offering, but also bringing software supply chain security to the forefront. Bring observability, analytics, and feedback into our DevSec Ops platform, empowering organizations to close the DevOps tool chain loop. And then finally, bringing data science workloads into GitLab, allowing data scientists and data engineers to get all the benefits of DevSec Ops, including collaboration, reproducibility, and streamlined deployments. Before I hand it over to Jackie, just want to read off the typical short public service announcement. On this live stream, we'll be discussing our product roadmap, which includes upcoming features and functionality. It is important to note that the information presented is for informational purposes only. Please do not rely on this information for planning or purchasing purposes. We plan ambitiously here at GitLab. That means all details discussed on our live stream today are subject to change. All the timing of any products, solutions, features, functionality remains at the sole discretion of GitLab. Okay, so now that I've read that, I would like to hand it over to Jackie to kick us off with the Ops section.
Super, thank you so much, David. So as a reminder, the Ops section contains all of the experiences of enabling developers to effectively leverage configuration and operations tasks in GitLab after a developer commits code. The 4 stages in this section are verify, package, deploy, and monitor. We have a bunch of super investments across all of these stages in 15.10. First up is going to be our world-class DevSec Ops experience, where we have several teams making some great improvements. The runner team will be working on some foundational requirements related to enabling our macOS runners. This will empower expanded machine types for Apple, Silicon, and Q2. We're really excited about this feature, unlocking the power of teams working on Apple products. The second feature set that we'll be focusing on is our MVC related to the CI components catalog. We kicked this feature off last milestone, so this is the extension. We'll be focusing on the design work related to the private CI/CD catalog. This is a unique feature in that it helps empower this CI templates experience and components to build out inner sourcing capabilities in GitLab. Additionally, the team is going to be improving inputs for includes, specifically around specifying default values, mandatory inputs, and enabling input interpolation. This feature set will help improve better use of includes, also building on foundation work that we delivered on last milestone. The second theme the Ops section will be working on is advanced security and compliance. Our pipeline execution group is going to be adding audit logging for this new secure CI job token workflow setting. This will help admins and users of GitLab be able to improve the transparency and traceability of when this setting is enabled, disabled, or changed, helping, again, improve the reportability of GitLab in an audit and compliance setting. For the third theme, observability and analytics, we have a couple of key items. Again, the pipeline execution group will be helping improve the transparency into shared runner minute execution time. This will help users see how many minutes they have remaining and what's left to go in their quota. It's been highly requested for people who are leveraging CI compute, so this analytics capability will help them make better decisions about how they're using CI runners and how they're consuming their quota. Our monitor observability group will be working on some cool features related to continuous delivery for GitLab observability backend. It'll be a building block for many other features related to GitLab observability. But more importantly, the group will be working on some pajamas instrumentation for their explore page. This is a really great feature for them to be expanding and working on because it will support the universal experience and look and feel across GitLab using our design system pajamas. So we're really excited to see this happen in our observability group. The last theme of data science in GitLab will be supported by our runner group as they lay the foundation for GPU-enabled runners. This ultimately will help support the workloads required for AI/ML in GitLab, given that it's very data intensive. It requires more power behind it. So GPU is our focus there. This is by no means a comprehensive take on everything we're delivering, but if you are interested in something particularly, please take a look at our direction page or kickoff videos. This wraps up the ops section. I'll pass it off to Urit to talk about dev.
Thanks, Jackie. Some really great stuff. I'm extremely excited about the CI component catalog. Really cool to see that come into fruition. So for the dev section, similar to what he said, I don't have time to review everything all the amazing the work that the team has planned. So please check out the kickoff issue, the planning issues, and the direction pages to see additional work. So I'll be starting also with the world-class DevSec Ops experience that the section is going to be working on. Starting with the product planning team, we're going to be adding a way to display record ID to work item breadcrumbs. So if you look at work items today, you'll see it just says the requirement, for example, or the task, but it doesn't say the parent ID. So you'll see the entire breadcrumb now, which is a great improvement to usability and navigation. We're adding record IDs to the work item breadcrumbs, and this will be available for all work item types, including tasks and OKRs. Staying with that same team, we're going to be allowing users to delete comments that they have authored on the design system tab. So you'll see a way to delete comments both here and here. So excited to see that as well. On the same theme, moving on to the import team, we're adding a way. We've done a lot of improvements in the last few months around GitHub imports. And what we're doing now is adding a way to filter what generated the import. So for many users with many repos on GitHub, it's difficult to find those that they want to import to GitLab. And so we're making the search really easy with adding owned, collaborated, and organization types of imports, which can further narrow down the search by organization, choosing it from the dropdown. Still on the GitHub migration, we're going to be adding repository collaborators as GitLab project members. When importing projects from GitHub to GitLab today, collaborators were not imported, and that resulted in no users having any permissions on a project created in GitLab. So what we're going to do is map GitHub read to guest, admin to owner, and so on, so that they can now actually use the projects after they're imported into GitLab. Group Optimize is working on consolidating value stream analytics group and projects into a single workspace, so the namespace level. In this iteration, we're going to expose group level value stream front end on the project level. So this is going to give users a unified experience in value stream analytics with feature parity between groups and projects, and I'm really excited to see that. The same team is going to be adding a new drill up link for the new value stream dashboard from the value stream analytics page today. So it'll make navigation easier for our beta users. We have open beta. If you want to join, you'll see the value stream dashboard link existing there today. And still on the optimized team, we're going to add yet another great usability improvement, which adds stages breakdown to the value stream analytics overview chart. This is this chart over here. This new enhancement is going to give users a better understanding of how much time is spent per stage of the SDLC and help them quickly identify bottlenecks. It's related also to the value stream dashboard beta and improves the top-down optimization use cases. Moving on to source code. Our source code team is adding a way to fetch new upstream contents when a fork is behind. So what this means is when your fork is behind, you'll now be able to fetch new upstream content via a new sync button. So the sync button will look something like this, and pressing it will also, before in 15.7, we already added how many commits are behind or ahead of the upstream project main branch. You'll find this information on the project main page as well as the repository files. And that's where we'll see this new sync button, which will appear when your fork is behind. Source code is also going to add ability to require multiple approvals per code owner section. So you can now precisely define for which files, file types, and directories you want to make an approval optional or require more than one or multiple users. So this will look something like this per file. Moving on to project management, we're going to be adding emoji reaction to work items, which didn't exist before. So we're excited to see that as well. Foundation, adding a new exploration to the sidebar, the new sidebar. It's now in alpha, and it's an uplift of how we want to change navigation throughout GitLab. This is where users can go and discover various interesting things about GitLab and where you can find work that's not necessarily tied to your work. Moving on to the second theme of advanced security and compliance. The auth team is adding several new features in this area. One is scan group sync for GitLab.com. Today, SAML was the only way that you can programmatically update a user group. We're going to be adding group syncing support for customers who currently use SCAM to provision and manage their users. In addition, we're going to add a way to automatically claim enterprise users for any user matching a verified domain. So any organization that has a verified domain will automatically claim any users matching the domain as their own enterprise users. Previously, this was only possible using SAML and SCAM provision users. And lastly, for the dev section, the team is going to be adding enterprise user badging. So what this does is we're adding a managed by badged enterprise users that will give non-admin users a clear visual indicator that their account is being managed by their company. So that concludes the dev section, and I'll pass it on to Hillary for sec.
Thanks, Orit. Share out my screen here. All right, excellent. So the sec section, this milestone is working on a number of improvements related to our advanced security and compliance investment theme. The composition analysis team is working on a multi-milestone project that will enable continuous vulnerability scanning for dependencies and container images. So today, dependency and container scanning jobs run exclusively in the pipeline. And that means that in order for new vulnerabilities to show up as affecting a project, the user has to first do something that causes the pipeline to run. So that means that you might not see vulns that affect your project right away. And a given vuln might show up in one part of your code base, but not another, even though both are actually affected. So with continuous vulnerability scanning, we'll be able to run vuln scans in the background so that anytime a new vulnerability is published, we can highlight that without waiting for a pipeline to run first. So that work will result in sort of a more consistent, near real-time vulnerability reporting across all of our analyzers. This milestone, the static analysis team, is going to be working on false positive cleanup. So the rule that you're looking at here, the detect object injection rule, is our largest source of false positives in SaaS and has an extremely high rate of dismissal. So we're planning to disable that rule by default for all users. And then we'll leverage our auto resolve functionality to make that sort of a seamless change for users who have already been using that rule. Static analysis team is also going to be working on backend changes that are related to showing SAST findings in the MR changes view as well. The security policy team plans to release support for role-based approvers in scan result policies this milestone. So today users can specify a list of approvers, either an individual or a group of users in each project that are allowed to approve merging of code that has vuln scan results. But for some types of projects, users want to be able to allow anyone in the project with a certain GitLab role, so say an owner or a maintainer, to be able to approve a scan result. And so this project that we're working on will add that functionality. And then finally, the Threat Insights team cleared a major piece of technical debt in 15.9. And so that unblocked the path forward on a number of high interest vulnerability management features. So in 15.10, the Threat Insights team is going to begin working on adding a consistent workflow for recording a dismissal type anytime a vulnerability is dismissed. So if a user dismisses a vulnerability because it's a false positive or because there's some kind of mitigating control that exists, they'll be able to use a dropdown in GitLab to select the dismissal reason. And then they'll be able to track and audit those dismissals. And they'll also be able to do this not just in the vulnerability report, but also in other key areas of the product where users interact with vulnerabilities. I'll keep it short and sweet. So I'll now hand it off to Taylor to take us through what's coming up in the data science section.
Awesome. Thanks, Hillary. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor McCaslin. I'm going to cover some of our product areas related to data science. To start, I'm going to talk about anti-abuse. This is on our theme of observability, analytics, and feedback. I'm not going to go into a list as we don't want to publicly release details about how we're preventing anti-abuse, but I will share we are working on improving identity verification on GitLab. And so depending on a variety of factors, you may be asked to verify your phone number. This will help reduce spam and platform abuse across GitLab.com. Next, we're also starting development on what we're calling abuse reports. This is going to allow users to report through the existing mechanism, but pass a lot more metadata to our anti-abuse teams to be able to take action on spam and platform abuse accounts. Now moving over to our model ops stage, we're going to talk first about the theme world-class DevOps experience with code suggestions. This is available now as a closed beta. In the release post tomorrow, you'll see this item detailing this experience. I'll point out that there is a link for ultimate customers here where you can fill out a form and express your interest in joining our beta for our code suggestions. This works in the VS Code plugin today. Here's a quick demo for you to take a look at this in action. We're going to be working this release on integrating this with the web IDE experience, which is running VS Code in the cloud. So we're starting to migrate that plugin into the web IDE experience. You can see here some functions being generated automatically with our code suggestions feature. This will be nearing a open beta in later this quarter. Next, I want to move towards our MLOps capabilities. This is the theme GitLab for data scientists. Jackie has already highlighted improvements we're making to GitLab Runner to support .com SaaS GPU enable machine learning workloads within GitLab. We're also finalizing the designs for our model registry experience. If you're familiar with GitLab container registry and package registry, you'll feel right at home with the model registry, which will support versioning machine learning models. We'll also have a UI to upload these as well as APIs to interact with them, making it easier than ever to integrate production machine learning models into your ML CI/CD pipelines. So that completes our overview of GitLab data science. I'll now hand it over to Josh to talk about enablement.
Thanks, Taylor. Those are some really exciting enhancements that are coming in our model ops section. And as mentioned, I will be taking things from here with enablement. And we'll start off with our world-class DevOps experience theme and jump into it with the work we are doing in search. If you use GitLab.com today and you've done some code searching, you might have seen that we actually already have the ability to filter or facet based on the language that is being used. So if you're searching for something, you can actually now go ahead and apply and filter those results, which is awesome. The work remaining for us to do here is to remove the feature flag and make it available by default for all of our self-managed instances as well, so all of the GitLab community can benefit. Speaking of code search, we are also working on switching out the backend for our code search service. Right now, the current service has some known limitations and primarily that it does not always return complete sets of results. This is obviously a pretty big challenge for us. And so we are swapping out the backend to solve that problem. We are working on the initial MVC here. We're making some great progress. And our first step is to have it running with a single project that is public on GitLab.com. From there, we will go ahead and add private project support and then work through some closed and open betas. So we'll keep you up to date here and let us know if you're interested in some of the following issues. Moving to the Gitly team, we are continuing our work to make large repositories and monorepos more performant for all of our users. In this release, we are working to utilize what's called Kickoff packs, which essentially pack up a bunch of the unreachable loose objects and put them in a single location where we can go ahead and access them much more quickly. This will allow us to serve requests, especially large repositories, in a more performant period of time. Also, on the Gitly side of things, we are moving to continue our work to push back on traffic surges. Last release, we went ahead and added the ability to actually propagate errors up through from Gitly all the way through to the end user. And now that we have that, we can go ahead and actually introduce rate limits for these instances where we might be seeing a traffic surge. This will allow us to have a more resilient system for all of our instances, which is great for our customers. From there, we are working to carry on the great work of the real-time SEG or single engineer group over in our application performance group. So you can see the updates over here and all the work that they have been doing to make descriptions sort of a collaborative real-time feature. And we'll be going ahead and picking up context from the SEG and in particular our engineer, and then working to carry that forward so we can realize more of those benefits in GitLab itself. Moving away from the world-class dev experience and over towards maintenance, we are in the distribution group working to support Kubernetes 1.25 and the most recent operator releases for OpenShift. We recently introduced support for 1.22 and documented that, and so we're going ahead and carry forward and make sure we support the newest versions of Kubernetes and OpenShift. On the geo side, we are continuing our work to introduce to move project and wikis over to the self-service framework. This will allow us to have a more efficient contribution and overall velocity in this area as we standardize on a set of libraries as opposed to bespoke code for each type. We had a bit of an issue with the previous work in replicating these two types, and so we had to go back and fix it, and now we are moving forward again. And we are also continuing to update our work on the Ruby 3.0 version, and we are on track to adding or upgrading to Ruby 3.0 in March in our 15.10 release. So looking forward to this, and we'll be on time to moving over before the Ruby 2.7 end of life occurs at the end of March. Last but of course not least, our database group here. We are continuing our work to address any kind of primary key overflow risks. We did a lot of this work if you were listening to our kickoffs about a year or so ago for some tables that were getting, or looking like they might trend towards overflowing. And we're going to go through and pick up a few more tables here that aren't yet on the big size for their primary key and moving them over to make sure that GitLab.com and all of our customers can continue to run CI jobs and create merge requests well into the future without running into any potential challenges. And with that, I'll hand it over to David to wrap things up for us.
Thanks, Josh. So thank you all presenters for another great kickoff call. There's so many great things coming in 50.10. Someone said I should stop saying it's going to be my favorite release because every month's my favorite release, but this one might be my favorite release. So some of the highlights that I pulled as people presented for the world-class DevSec Ops experience, switching the backend for code search to provide more reliable and complete results, carrying forward the real-time text editing work that was starting in our incubation team, displaying record IDs for work items in the detail view, and the code suggestions closed beta for customers. On the advanced security and compliance, reduction of false positives was SAST by disabling the top noisy role. Also excited to hear that. Role-based approvals for scan results, vulnerability dismissal types, and the skim work for group sync on GitLab.com. For the observability analytics and feedback, the improvements to our value stream analytics, including the total flow chart, super cool. Display the total shared runner execution time and CI minutes consumed per pipeline. Restyle the Explore page to meet the Pajamas design system, and the abuse reports improvements. And I'll just leave the abuse at that. Agree with Taylor, we should not be too transparent about that. We don't want people to work around our anti-abuse functionality. And then finally, with GitLab for data science workloads, the work to support Google Compute for AI/ML workloads, and then the work around the package registry as the model registry. So that was just a small sample of what everyone presented. Please check out the release kickoff page for a full list of items, as well as please like and comment on them to engage with the team. I can't stress this, if you're a GitLab team member or you're a customer or a user watching, our product team loves talking to people. It's part of their job, so please engage with them, provide feedback, and upvote things. Also, this was the beginning of our fiscal year. Very excited to see everyone aligned to our new investment theme. So thank you for doing that. And with that, I will say thank you all for watching and joining this release kickoff, and everyone have a great day. Thank you.